The dark alleys of Gotham trembled as an unholy presence stirred beneath its streets. Etrigan the Demon, a hellish entity bound to the mortal Jason blood, had been summoned once again. His fiery breath illuminated the cavernous lair where he stood. Surrounded by ancient relics and sigils of power, a warlock had called upon him, pleading for his aid against an unknown force that had begun corrupting the very fabric of the spiritual realm. Etrigan sneered, his molten eyes narrowing as he took in the frail man before him. "Foolish mortal, you call on me, yet blind to what this cost may be. The power you seek, the doom you weave, shall bind your soul lest you believe." The warlock, undeterred, held up a scroll etched with sigils of divine retribution. "It is not I who seeks power, demon," he said, his voice steady. "The Spectre has fallen from grace. His wrath has turned unchecked, and now he threatens the balance between vengeance and justice." Etrigan's laughter rumbled through the cavern like a rising storm. "The Spectre? That wraith of divine might bound to the presence? You ask me to stand against him?" He leaned in, his fanged grin stretching wide. "Tell me, mortal, why should I care?" The warlock's face darkened. "Because he is no longer the agent of justice. He has begun judging not just the wicked, but all who possess darkness in their hearts. He does not discriminate between the guilty and the innocent anymore. His wrath is absolute. Even hell trembles at his fury." Etrigan's grin faltered for a moment. The Spectre was an entity beyond mortal understanding, the wrath of God incarnate. Though Etrigan himself was a demon of formidable power, he had no desire to cross paths with the embodiment of divine judgment. Yet the prospect of a corrupted Spectre intrigued him. If the balance was at stake, so too was hell's dominion. Where has this Spectre of doom been seen? Does he strike from the heavens or lands unseen? The warlock swallowed hard. His judgment began in Gotham, but now it stretches far beyond. He has burned entire dimensions where sin once festered. The underworld has suffered great losses, as has heaven itself. He does not serve the presence anymore, he serves only vengeance. Etrigan turned away, his clawed fingers tracing the edge of his sword. The thought of battling the Spectre should have sent a chill down his spine. But he was no coward. If the balance was truly crumbling, he would not stand idly by. And if he could best the Spectre, he would prove once and for all that hell's fury was unmatched. With a guttural growl, he looked back at the warlock. "Then I shall see this wraith myself, and send him screaming back to hell." Meanwhile, in the ethereal realm of Limbo, the Spectre stood atop a shattered throne of forgotten souls, his emerald eyes burning with divine fury. He had long abandoned his previous restraints, no longer bound by the morality of the presence. The world was tainted beyond salvation, and mercy was a luxury he could not afford. His crusade had begun with the worst of sinners, mass murderers, tyrants and warlords, but over time, his vision expanded. A man who entertained thoughts of vengeance, guilty. A mother who secretly hated her child, guilty. A child who stole bread to survive, guilty. There were no gray areas in his justice anymore. All darkness had to be purged. And so he stood, his form shifting between ghostly and corporeal, as he looked upon his next target, hell itself. His voice echoed through the void. "Evil thrives because it is permitted to exist no longer. I will purge every realm, every soul tainted by sin." As he raised his hand, a green flame ignited, its glow stretching across the fabric of reality. It was then that he felt it, a disturbance, a challenge, something ancient, something demonic. A deep, mocking laughter rang through the void. "You cast your flames, you burn and kill, but does your justice serve your will? Or is it madness, Spectre bright, that drowns your soul in endless night?" The Spectre's gaze snapped forward, his emerald energy crackling around him. There, stepping through the broken veil between realms, was Etrigan. The demon's fiery presence clashed against the spectral energies that surrounded the Spectre, causing reality to ripple. The Spectre's voice was thunderous. "Demon, you are a blight upon creation. Your existence alone is reason enough for your destruction." Etrigan unsheathed his sword, flames licking its edges. "And you are but a ghost, divine and hollow, a righteous blade too mad to follow. You judge all souls, both pure and vile, yet see no flaw in your own trial. The Spectre's hand clenched into a fist, and the entire dimension trembled. I do not need your approval, Hellspawn. You stand in my way, and for that you shall perish. Etrigan grinned, his fangs gleaming. Then let us dance, O wraith so grand, and see whose power rules the land. As the flames of hell clashed against the divine wrath of the Presence's former agent, the battle between Etrigan and the Spectre began, one that would shake the very foundations of reality itself.
Are you just watching?
Subscribe, please.
Air between them burned and cracked, warping reality as two unstoppable forces prepared to clash. Etrigan stood firm, his molten blade pulsing with hellfire, while the Spectre loomed above him, wreathed in emerald vengeance. The sheer intensity of their energies caused the void itself to ripple, a storm of fire and judgment colliding in an unstable dance of destruction. Without warning, the Spectre struck first. With a mere gesture, the very fabric of existence bent to his will, conjuring a tidal wave of green fire that surged toward Etrigan. The demon roared and met the divine inferno head-on, slashing through it with his blade. Hellfire erupted from his sword, colliding with the Spectre's wrath, and the void howled in agony as the two flames consumed one another. The Spectre's voice thundered, a sound that echoed across all realms. Etrigan, your sins are eternal. You will be erased. Etrigan only laughed, his voice a guttural growl of defiance. Your justice blind, your wrath a blight. I fear you not, pale ghost of light. In a blur of movement, Etrigan lunged. His sword cut through the air faster than thought, striking the Spectre's ethereal form. But the spirit of vengeance was not so easily wounded. His body twisted and reformed, turning to mist before re-solidifying behind Etrigan. The Spectre's hand shot forward, gripping the demon's skull. A wave of divine judgment coursed through Etrigan's body, searing into his very essence. It was not mere pain, it was atonement, forced upon him like a dagger driven into his soul. For a moment, Jason Blood, the mortal host, screamed within him, feeling the full weight of every crime committed in Etrigan's existence. Etrigan staggered, his knees nearly buckling. But the flames of hell were not so easily extinguished. With a feral snarl, he wrenched himself free, his body wreathed in pure demonic energy. He channeled all of his rage, his infernal power surging to its peak. With a mighty roar, he unleashed a blast of hellfire strong enough to reduce entire realms to cinders. The flames struck the Spectre full force, engulfing him in a maelstrom of pure destruction. The void quaked under the force of it, the very boundaries of existence straining under the onslaught. For a moment, there was silence. Then from within the inferno, two glowing green eyes pierced through the flames. Fire will not save you, demon. The flames dissipated in an instant, snuffed out by the Spectre's will. Etrigan barely had time to react before the spirit of vengeance surged forward, his hand phasing into Etrigan's chest. A cosmic force, unlike anything the demon had ever known, tore into him, bypassing flesh, muscle, and bone, reaching for something far deeper. Etrigan gasped. The Spectre wasn't trying to kill him, he was trying to unmake him. The demon thrashed, clawing at the Spectre's arm, but it was like trying to fight the will of the universe itself. His body shuddered. The lines between Jason Blood and Etrigan, blurring as reality, struggled to decide if either should exist at all. The Spectre's eyes burned with finality. Your time has ended, Etrigan. There will be no return. Etrigan let out one last defiant roar before his body convulsed. In a blinding flash of green light, he was ripped from Jason Blood, his demonic essence torn apart. His very existence shattered. Jason Blood collapsed, gasping for breath, his body trembling as the weight of centuries was lifted from him. Etrigan was gone. The Spectre loomed over Jason, his form towering like a god of old. He regarded the mortal for a long moment, his judgment complete. Your soul is spared, Jason Blood. The demon is no more. With that, he vanished into the void, his mission fulfilled. The wrath of God had triumphed over the fury of hell.